Good morning everyone, it's Boxing Day and this morning I'm going to show you how to do a full print and cut using the Cougar Pro and Shortcuts a Lot. So I'm going to open my Shortcuts a Lot. You'll notice that it's version 3.044. If you did miss that, I'll show you. It is this version that works seamlessly with the auto contour cut function on the Pro machines. If you have got a previous one, you may run into difficulties, so do make sure that you're running the latest version. Now, I am using a 12 by 12 mat and I'm using it in the portrait position. I can tell that by this arrow sitting at the top of the screen and also my orientation. It says vertical or portrait. I'm working in centimetres. So firstly, to start my print and cut project, I'm going to have to import a picture. So I'm going up to Trace Image at the top of the screen and Browse. And then I'm going to go looking for the image that I'd like to use. Now, I'm using what I call Birthday Cow only because it's the one I've used all the way along. Now, you have several options here. You can see here that this is the original picture. And this is the traced outline that Shortcuts a Lot has made. Now, you can do all sorts of things because sometimes you want all of the inner cut lines and other times you only want an outline of the whole image. In this instance, I only want an outline, so I'm going to click on Blackout and Add Image Layer. And when I press OK, you'll notice it comes through very, very large, but that's okay. I'm just going to close those screens off. I'm going to now make this a more appropriate size for my page. To zoom out, I'm pressing Control and my minus button so that I can get a better view of my whole page. And I'm making it quite small. Now I'm pressing Control and my plus button so that I can see where I am on the page. Now, you'll also notice that my picture has a red outline. For some obscure reason, the outline seems to always come through in all different shades. You can change it quite simply by clicking on Stroke or Fill. I usually just out of habit change both of them. Now I'm going to change these to black, and now you can see my outline is now black. If your image had a green outline or a pink outline, then you would change your outline to the most appropriate colour. So once I've done that, I then need to see where it's sitting or where it's going to print on an A4 page because remember we're using a 12-inch by 12-inch mat. So if I go up to Cutter and Preview, you'll notice a couple of things. First of all, it's putting what we call registration marks around the whole image. It'll also make note of the printer that you're using, and you can also see the cut line. Now, yes, it's showing it in red, but in actual fact it will print it in black. You can also see my printing page, which is running along here. Can be a bit confusing, so do take note. Now, this is just an aside. I have noticed that if you put your image or your registration marks too close to the edges of your cardstock, sometimes the optical eye gets a bit confused, and when it does a scan, it misreads. So I've just shifted it a little and now you can see I've moved it across. Once I've done that, I can now print out my image. So I'm going to print out my image and pause the video just slightly for a moment. Okay, now in order to print your image, it's not just a matter of Control-P or print. When you're doing a print and cut with the Pro, you have to use the Shortcuts a Lot menu. So I'm going to go up to my scissors. And you'll notice this button down here, Print and Cut. We must use this. I'll press on Print and Cut, go to Print, and here you can select your printer. I'm going to use the Epson 1410. Now, another little bug in it, that it doesn't seem to do it for all printers. Now, once you've printed your image out, and it will have the registration marks on it, it will also have an extra arrow which will correspond with the arrow on your plotter head. For your first print and cut, just proceed as normal, but you may have to calibrate at some stage. So I'm going to go to Next, And I'm going to now show you how to position your optical eye in the correct place. So you can see that I've got my mat in my Pro. I'm turning it offline and I'm going to start feeding the mat towards myself. You can see these tiny little brushes. The idea of it is you need to get your brushes inside that registration mark and line up these two arrows as best you can. You don't have to be too precious. The scanning function works pretty well, but I'm going to say that that's acceptable. So once I'm happy with that, make sure you remember to press your origin button and then your online button. Now I'm now going back to my software and I'm going to press Start Scan. And you can now see that my Pro machine is reading the registration marks. It will read all 4 of them. It's most important that you print your page out in 100%. Do not minimise it or scale it, because these registration marks must measure their full size, which is 2 centimetres by 2 centimetres. Now you can see it's finished its scan, and it will put up a fail indicator if the scan has failed. Now once you've done that, it's just a matter of pressing OK on your screen, and you'll notice now that this scan button has turned to cut. I'm going to click on cut, and now you'll see the Pro go into action, and it will hopefully cut perfectly around. Now remember, I have calibrated. You may need to calibrate yourself, you may not, some do, some don't. I'm just going to show you, I'm just feeding it out again so that I can have a look at it. Now I've actually swapped printers, and I found that if you do swap printers, you may have to recalibrate. I'm just learning this as well. Now you can see that it's a 0.1 off. So now that I'm using a different printer, I would probably recalibrate again and move my cut line down just a little bit. Okay. So if you do need to calibrate, just go through the whole function again, and I'll do it on screen so that you can see. You go to Cut, Print and Cut, print out your image, put it on your mat, position your arrows together on the registration marks using your feeding your mat in and being able to move your plot ahead. This is your calibrate function. It's fairly self-explanatory in here, what you need to do. You can see my settings there. I use millimetres. I think most in Australia will. You can see that these are my settings, and I will, now that I'm using a new printer, I will recalibrate and have another go at it. Once you're happy with where you are, press on Save, and then you can go to Next and start the scanning function. Good luck, and if I've missed anything, feel free to tell me, because I sort of know what I'm doing, but it's possible that I've missed something for those that are just learning.